Hello, everybody. Kane, I need a time limit on Cords talking. Okay. All right, I think I'm ready. You'll love this one when you go to look at it. Emotions. Let's go over some emotions. Love, anger, happiness, laughter, hate, worry, anxiety, care, evil, honor, courage, fear, and there's a multitude more of emotions. And a lot of people don't really care for some of their emotions, or some people don't care for hardly any emotions. Like, you can use me. I'm not good at the emotion of excitement. I don't get excited. I mean, I've been to so many competitions with the guys and my team and all, and the team has won and everything, and I'm just like sitting in my chair going, good job, guys. Good. And they're trying to get me to come up on stage and get the trophy and celebrate with them, and I'm like, that's not me. I'm staying here. I'm not an excitable person. So that's just one aspect of emotion. Some we jump on, some we kind of shy away from. I guess some people would maybe even shy away from love. Maybe they don't understand it. Anger, probably grasp that one too much. Happiness, I like happiness, and I can be a happy person, but not excitable. Just not excitable. Laughter, I love laughter. I don't know if laughter is really an emotion, but I think it is. It leads, if you're laughing, usually you're happy and everything, and I like to laugh. Hate, that's not a good one. Worry's okay. Just don't do too much of it. Won't do too much of it. I don't worry much. Ramona quite often asks me, do you worry about anything? And I go, maybe if the brisket's on the smoker, I'm worrying if I get it right. I don't worry about stuff. I'm going through my cardiac rehab class now, and it's all exercise, and then once a week we have a classroom little sit-down thing, and they tell us about stuff, and one of them was about dealing with stress, and the nurse at the end, she gave us this assignment that in a couple weeks she'd come around and ask us each individually what we were doing to deal with stress, if we picked up on any of her ideas or some other ideas or whatnot. And she came and asked me the other day, and I said, I don't really know what to tell you because I don't stress. I don't worry about stuff. And so I just told her about how I like to get up real early in the morning when it's dark, make my coffee and sit by myself in the dark and drink my coffee. And she goes, oh, so your alone time. And I go, okay, yeah, I call it my coffee time. but it's what I like. That's something I like to do. And but I don't really deal with worry or anxiety too much at all. As you get older, at least I found, I care more. Uh, it used to be only dog movies could make me cry. Now war movies can make me cry. Um, but yeah, anything. Fear, I think, comes to everybody. And we use the verses a lot that we have not given a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power. But we still are human. We fear. And I think emotions, when you stop and think about them, I think emotions prove creation to an extent. To me, they really prove it. They prove it, period. End of conversation. Because if we weren't created and given these emotions and given these feelings and thoughts and stuff that we deal with constantly, how did we get them? If we evolved, wouldn't we be more animalistic? Because how do you evolve a conscience? How do you evolve reasoning and stuff in your brain? I mean, wouldn't we be more like animals in nature? I mean, we might be a little different, but, where would we get our love for our children, our care for them? When they got to a certain age, we would just cut them loose like a deer. A deer. You see a doe and her young fawn. She's taking care of it, and she protects it as best she can and everything like that. But at a point, she kicks it to the curb. Done with you. And if she sees that fawn again, 6, 8 months, a year down the road, she doesn't run up and go, "I'm your mom, remember me?" Because it's animalistic. It's just the way they act. And would we be like that? Would we be instinctive more than emotional? Emotions have a place, and when you stop and you think about it and you contemplate it, drink coffee in the morning and in the dark, and you can think a lot about it, it had to be created. We were given these emotions for a reason. And I'm going somewhere with all this. I'm going to get on to one emotion specifically here in a minute. But would we, without our emotions, if we were evolved, would we be more monogamist, I think is the word? Monogamous is how you'd say it, I think it better. Or would we still be that way? Because animals not all are like that. Some are. Eagles mate for life. I think dolphins do too. But there's some others. But a lot don't. But would we be like that? God chose a better way. God chose a much better way. He gave us the emotions. He gave us that reasoning. He gave us the ability to think. Sometimes you kind of wonder if that was a good thing for him to give us the ability to think with some of the stuff people have come up with. But yeah, he gave us these emotions for a reason, because they make us who we are. They make us what we are. They make us they just make us us. The thing about emotions is we need to learn to tame them. I mean, you may not need, everybody doesn't need to be unexcitable like me, because that's, I don't know, people just think I could care less about things because I'm just standing there watching, and I don't smile a lot and jump up and down and get excited. But so I guess it in that case, it's kind of bad, but it's me. And I don't know if you've seen the movie Maverick, and the guy says, "I don't like that face, Mav," and he says, "It's the only face I got." And that's the only emotion I got. I mean, that's one emotion that I just don't exude. Excitement. But we need to learn to tame them. like I did say, I think I'm a little too crazy about anger sometimes. So one I need to work on. And that's the one I want to concentrate on today, is anger. Most people think to get angry is awful. To get angry is bad for you. To get angry is a sin. It's not. It's not. There's no commandment that says thou shalt not get angry. But it can be. And we're going to get to that here in a minute. But the thing is, the thought of anger being this rotten, awful, sinful thing is not true. It's an emotion God gave us. So it comes out occasionally. It comes out quite often in all of us. Anger. And it's got its place. Much like hate, sorry to say, has a place too. It's not the best of any of them, but at some points and in some things, you might need to hate something. Not someone so much, but something. Cord hates sauerkraut. You know, he won't touch it. Okay, that's fine. And if you're going to use the word for that, okay, it works. But to hate someone, I don't know. There's got to be a really big time reason for that. It's not where we should be. Now, I think there's a difference between hate and dislike. You can dislike or you can not care to be in the company of. But hate can get you in trouble, just as anger can too. So turn over to Matthew 5 and verse 21. That's where I want to be. And Jesus is talking here. This is the Beatitudes, and this is where he starts talking about the commandments, and he starts intensifying them. He starts adding more to them, and saying this is not just what it means. And he starts off here in verse 21, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill, and whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. So this is the commandment, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not murder, properly said. But then he goes on and adds more to this. Not only murder, he says, going on, but I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raca, shall be in the danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Now, he's adding to this. He's adding to this thou shalt not murder commandment. Now he's saying if you're angry with your brother. But there's a clause there, without cause. So obviously, Jesus is saying, if you have a just cause, you can be angry with your brother. So again, this to me leads me to say, hey, it's okay to be angry at times. But there's more to it. And we'll get through it here all. Angry here in that verse means provoke or enrage, become exasperated, be angry, wrath. That's what it means. Simple as that. There's not a whole lot to it. It's talking about being angry or mad. And it says with your brother. Now here, brother means a person that is near or remote from you. So I take this to mean, and it says in the Strong's, it's a brother, literally or figuratively, near or remote brother. So this is someone that you consider, I think, very close to you. Very close to you. I mean, they may live in another state, but they're still close to you. We refer to each other all the time as brothers and sisters in Christ, and so forth and so on. Get up here much of the time and we say, hey, brethren, let me tell you this, and all. But that's true. We are a family of sort, and that's what he's talking about. So he's not talking about just blood brother. He's talking about if you have aught with someone you care about, someone that is close to you, someone that you know, someone in your circle of influence, I'll say. And then he goes on in verse 23, and he says, therefore, if thou bring any gift, oh, wait a minute, let me go back. I want to go back through these words. Yeah, let me go back to them. Without a cause means without reason, without a cause, just like it reads. I just wanted to get all these out because I want you to understand the Strong's meaning of every phrase so that you know that it's not kind of twisting something around or anything like that. Judgment, because it says you'll be in danger of the judgment. And judgment says accusation, condemnation, damnation, and judgment. By extension, a tribunal, by implication, justice. And it has in parentheses, especially the divine law, which I think, used in the very first verse, he's talking about the divine law. Thou shalt not kill, or thou shalt not murder. So, we go through there, and we got judgment, and then we got raka. That's always an interesting one. Everybody usually asks, oh, what's raka mean? Well, that means it's a Chaldean origin, and it means empty one, worthless, thou worthless, as a term of utter vilification, raka. That's what that means. So you're calling somebody worthless. And whosoever shall say unto his brother, you're worthless, shall be in danger of the council. The council means a joint session, the Jewish Sanhedrin, by analogy, a subordinate tribunal council. Okay? All right, so it sounds like somebody's judging you there, too. And then it goes on and it says, but if you say thou fool means, the word mean is pronounced moros. And I wonder if that's where we got moron from, maybe. But it means dull or stupid, heedless, blockhead, absurd, fool, foolish. So it means basically what it's saying there. If you call somebody a fool, then you're in danger of hellfire in the verse there in the King James, which means Gehenna. Gehenna, of course, is the big fire at the end of Jerusalem. They dropped all their trash down. The fire continually burned. It never really went out at all. It would rain on it, and it'd still keep burning. They'd dump more trash on it, and the bodies of prisoners and bad people that had been put to death or something, and they would drop them down that little cliff, gully, whatever you want to call it, and they would burn and burn up. So it's basically saying that you'll be burned. You'll go to, it's not hell as they think, as people talk about a lot in the world, but it's not that. It's just a fire where you're destroyed. And the question comes to mind on this, because a lot of people have problems with this verse here. Which is worse? Which is the worst one? Judgment, the council, or Gehenna fire? Which is the worst one? I don't think any one is really worse there. It's all talking about being judged. It's all talking about being punished in some way. So I think it's saying, watch your mouth. Watch what you say. Pay attention to your words. Not to the point that they talk about in this world nowadays, about worrying about offending everybody. Not that kind of watch your words. But if you know something shouldn't be said, don't say it. Consider what you're doing because Jesus is telling us that thou shalt not kill means a little bit more. It's a little bit more to it than just don't murder somebody. Okay, I never murdered anybody in my life, so I'm fine. No, but look at all the things I've said bad to people. Look at all the things I've done bad to people and so forth. You know, and you think about your own life. I can just go on with mine, and that's what he's talking about here. It's getting those things out of your head, out of your mouth. And it says it there in verse 23, now we'll go there. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. Be reconciled with your brother. Be reconciled. Reconcile your life, yourself, your thoughts, your heart, your soul, your feelings before you come before God and ask for him to forgive you, for him to do much what Cord was talking about. If you want to draw near to God and have him draw near to you, reconcile yourself with all your faults and then come before him. And that's what he's telling you. I mean, he says, hey, you're offering an offer to me. Put it down and go fix this and then come see me. And that's what he's telling you. Get yourself straight. Get right. Then come before him. Makes sense to me. It makes real good sense with what Cord said earlier. It's just the way it should be. Why do you want to? I know I heard a preacher one time talk about, you know, in the book a lot it talks about raising your hands and praying to God. And I heard some preacher one time saying, why would you raise those filthy hands up and show them to God? Because nobody can cleanse those hands of the filth you put on them but him. It's my answer. But get yourself right and then raise those hands before God and come to him and see him. It makes sense. Verse 25, it kind of changes up things, and this is an interesting one. It says, agree with thine adversary quickly whilst thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to the judge, and the judge deliver thee to the officer, and thou be cast into prison. Verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence till thou hast paid the uttermost farthing. What argument, what issue, what thing is so important that you need to push the envelope to the point of you getting yourself in trouble over it? He's saying, just agree with him. Let it go. What's the problem? We're not here to argue. We're not here to win arguments. We're here to worship God. We're here to possibly spread his word, but we're here to worship God. And that's what he's telling us here, that don't be foolish. Don't think that you are so high and mighty and you got it all that you can win this argument, because you might get yourself in trouble. Now, the funny thing here, what I mentioned, is when you look at this and you go to that verse, and there you go. And you look at the Strong's word for adversary, and it means an opponent in a lawsuit, especially Satan, adversary. Now, just in case, I'm saying this only because I don't want nobody to go look this up and go, he's talking about Satan here. No, he's not. He's talking about the opponent in the lawsuit, the person that you're dealing with, and whatever. God is not going to tell you to agree with Satan quickly, okay? So get that straight. He's not talking about Satan there. So that's not what it means. But he's telling you, and he's warning you there, it goes down even into verse 26, hey, you're going to pay for it. If you push this, if you do this, you're going to get yourself in trouble, and you're going to pay for it. So watch yourself. I mean, all of this has been, hey, when I said don't murder, I meant don't murder, don't be angry without a cause, don't do dumb things with other people to get yourself in trouble. Take heed of what you say. Take heed of what you do. All of that combined together in there, I think, clarifies to me what he's saying there. Remember, Jesus said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. It kind of makes sense tying it in with this, because you pay your taxes. Don't argue about it. Don't not pay your taxes thinking you're going to prove something to Caesar, the government, whatever. Pay your bills. What are you going to prove there? Nothing. If you don't, you're going to get your lights turned off. Give or return it back. Whatever you borrowed, give it back. Whatever you were loaned, give it back. Render unto Caesar what is his. Stop accusing. Let it go. Live your life peaceably. Come out of the world. Cord mentioned that a little bit too. You have a different call. You have a very different call. You have been told something. You have been allowed to know something that a lot of people don't know. They don't get. We were talking about this a little earlier before things got going here. It's not your job to beat it into people's heads. It's just your job to explain it. It's just your job to say what is true. And let God's word do as Scripture says. It will return to him doing whatever work he wants it to do. The person you say it to may not be somebody he wants to return favorably to him. It may be somebody that he looked inside their heart, in their mind, and said, no, this person won't work. So it may not work. Don't take that as a shot to you. It's not. It's a shot to God. It's kind of like Samuel said, or God said to Samuel, Samuel, it's not that they don't like you. They're rejecting me. And that's what they're doing. You tell them the truth. You tell them the Scripture. And they either accept or they reject God. As simple as that. You're not going to win every heart or soul that you talk to. We should all know that by now. It's just not going to happen. Wrong page. So let's go over to Ephesians 4 in verse 26. So this comes into play. There's not a lot said about anger and angry all the time in the Scripture, but there's bits and pieces here you can pick up on. Ephesians 4:26, be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath. Now, that does not just mean that if you're mad and the sun goes down and you're still mad, you've sinned. No. He's just telling you that to quickly resolve the issue. Quickly get it fixed. You should not stay mad. They shouldn't stay mad. You both shouldn't stay hurt. Get it resolved. Especially because he's talking about, from the earlier verses in Matthew 5, your brother, your kin, figuratively and literally. He's talking about people who are in your circle of influence, who you care about, who care about you, and so forth like that. Now, that doesn't mean that you can go out here to a person that you don't know and you can be mean to them. No. But all too often, the person out here that we don't know, that's the one we're nice to. And the ones in here are the ones that we're rude, mean, coarse, and impolite to. That's a common thought. It's always the people at home that you hurt, not the ones out there. We bend over backwards to smile and say nice things to people out there. Why? Not that you shouldn't, but what's the deal? I would say that's fear. We fear the outside world. We fear those that we don't know. And that's probably got a little bit of something to do with it. Don't want to get into an argument with a stranger. You just don't know. You don't know. But we should get ourselves straight. It's in here that matters. In here. And I don't just mean the church. I mean here, your house, your home, the people that you're working with daily, that you do know and you do like, that you're familiar with. But strangers, again, I'm not telling you because somebody will come up and say, Chris, you're just telling us to be mean to people. No, I'm not. I'm telling you that why do we worry so much about them that we don't know, but we forsake those that we know, that we care about. We're dumb people. God gave us a brain. We don't use the brain. That's the problem. He gave us reasoning. We don't use the reasoning. He gave us a thought process that we can figure things out, but we don't figure them out. We stay dense. And it's our fault. It's our fault. Like Cord was saying, if you don't try to draw near to God, He's not drawing near to you. So if you don't try to be that better person and control emotions and control things, the worser ones, if that's a word, anger and hatred and such, madness, if you don't do that, what's your problem? You've got to work at it. You got to work at all of this. None of this is just a cakewalk. None of it's a cakewalk. Draw near to God so He'll draw near to you. Don't quench the Spirit. I probably might go over that or close to it in there in a minute, but I know it was near one of my verses, but things like that. How do you get faith? You pray. You believe. But some people, some of us, don't work at it. There is work to be done. And it's on yourself. I can't work on you. I mean, I do this, but this doesn't necessarily stick. This is like sometimes you throw it on the wall and it sticks, and sometimes you throw it on the wall and it just slides right down and nobody cares. It's kind of a strange thing being up here talking. But you got to work on you. You got to fix you. You have to take care of you. Or you're not going to get anywhere. Because nobody can come along and touch you, and fix you all up. You got to fix you. You got to do all this. This whole don't let anger, it says be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down on your wrath. That's the one verse that everybody goes to and says, oh, anger is a sin. Anger is not a sin. It's an emotion God gave us all, and it can be used properly, controlled, just like anything else. I don't know how much y'all watch news stories or something or things like that where real, live, honest military men and women are on it, and they talk about stuff. They talk about things that happened in a war and a conflict and all that. And they'll almost always tell you they were scared. They were scared. They were in fear of their life. But they did it anyway. We are the same way. We cannot let the fear of anything stop us from working on ourselves and getting ourselves better and getting ourselves to control our emotions and our thoughts and our actions. And they should all be geared towards Jesus Christ and God the Father, not on Lamborghinis, not on anything else like that. I mean, yeah, sure, you got to go to the grocery store and get some food. That's fine. But that is not your only matter in the world. Your biggest matter is Jesus Christ and God the Father and your salvation. That's what it's all about. I want to get there. I hope you want to get there. And I hope you want it so bad that you're willing to work for it. And that don't mean commandment keeping. That just means work on yourself. Because I can't pop your hood up and get a wrench and a couple screwdrivers and fix you. I can't do it even to myself. I have to work it a different way. But you do it with a lot of praying. I swear, sometimes I think God gets tired of listening to me. I pray so much. While I'm driving, while I'm here, while I'm there, over here, over there, back over here. And I'm just like, man, he is going to one day just strike me down because he's going to say, I just need you to be quiet for a while. Because I'm always talking to him. Sometimes hot, sometimes nice, whatever. But I'm always talking to him. And you got to do that. He's there for you if you will draw near to him. That was great for working on this. That was good. Came right together. It's just something you got to do, folks. I don't know. I'm kind of got myself all pumped up here now. And, yeah. And I got that warm, fuzzy feeling Cord said I couldn't get. But if you don't check it, if you don't control it, yes, anger can become sin. Hatred can become sin. Other love can become a sin if you can't control it. If you get my meaning there, if you understand. Maybe you'd rather use the word lust, because that's in the next one, but we're not going to that in today. Unchecked, it can lead to sin, yes, granted that. But just the fact that you're mad is not a sin. Now, I think you have to go back to Matthew 5 where he said, without a cause. If you're mad without a cause, why are you mad? That doesn't make sense. Do I have a reason to be mad at you? No? Well, then why would I be mad? Why would I be angry with you? I don't know. Maybe you got a promotion and I didn't. That's not a reason for me to get mad at you. Mad at myself for what I didn't do. What I didn't do. What did I not do? I did not work hard enough to get that promotion. I didn't work myself. Just like I've been saying to you. Work yourself. Fix yourself. Verse 27 there in Ephesians says, neither give place to the devil. Which I think ties in with that, and that's what he's talking about, is the fact that if you get angry and you are without that cause and you can't control it, you're giving place for Satan. You're giving place for him to mess with you. And that's where we don't want to go. That's where we don't want to be. That is not a place for us. Anger is okay, but you have to learn to handle it. It's a hard thing to do, yes, especially for somebody who spends his life being angry all the time, pretty much. But I work on it. I'm getting better. It can be done through prayer and faith. Lots of prayer, like I was just saying. Constantly talking to God. First thing in the morning, one of my first things I say every morning is, God, keep me calm. Keep me calm. Most of the time it works, but not always, because I'm a hard case sometimes. And but I try my best to stay calm. Now, Over in Ephesians 4, or just right where we are, just down a little bit, it says in verse 31 and 32, I'm going to read those. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you. And I want to tie this in over in Colossians. Colossians, where you at? 3 and verse 8. And it says almost the same thing. But now ye also put off all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. Lie not to one another, seeing that ye have put off the old man and with his deeds, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. Kind to one another, he says. Put off that old man. You are the new man in his image, the knowledge of his image. You claim Christ, make yourself act like you do. Act like you do claim Christ. Act like you do claim Christ. Anger is okay, and it's not unchristian, unless you leave it to fester, leading, as I said earlier, to sin. But the big thing is with anger and issues with people and the problem. And this is where the Christian part comes in. You always want to worry about that. Oh, am I being Christian? Am I being Christian by being mad? Am I being Christian by being upset? No. You're a Christian if you believe in Christ. Yeah. And having those emotions is not a problem, as long as you're not letting them fester. But the Christian thing that you need to do is, once the issue is resolved, you have to forgive. And that's the thing that we always forget to do. You actually have to forgive. And if you go over to Matthew 6, if you'd like, I'm going to read a few verses over there, starting in verse 12. And this will be closing this up. Matthew 6, verse 12. And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. In verse 14 and 15. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if ye forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. That's what it's all boils down to. We can have these emotions. We can be upset with a cause, with a reason, you know? Whatever. I can't think of a good example right now, but just with a reason. You're upset. You're mad. You can be that way. But when it's resolved, the Christian thing to do now we're talking about being that Christian, is to forgive and move on. Forgive and move on. And never broach the subject again, probably. Why? We're done with that. It's over. You know, Paul told the church in Corinthians, get rid of that guy. Kick him out. Because he was fornicating with his mother-in-law. And then later, the guy repents. Paul says, let him back in. Welcome the brother. Now, that is a horrendous thought. Having sex with your mother-in-law, for anybody. That is just disgusting, and it's easy to jump on that one and go, yeah, kick him out. But we're talking about little trivial things that happen in our lives with each other, our loved ones and such. Why? They're not anything compared to what I just talked about. They're not that. Forgive. And Jesus and God the Father will forgive you. That's the Christian thing to do. The emotions don't make you a Christian or not, only if you let them fester, only if you carry them to the extreme. And I guess in that case, you could probably even carry laughter and love and happiness. You could probably carry them all to the extreme. But the worst ones, I think, are what I've talked about here: anger, and I mentioned hatred. But it's up to you to check it and control it. God bless. All right, Kane's going to come up and do a song or two or whatever we're doing.